The impossible planet. The galactic survey vessel Stellar Cartographer hung in high orbit above the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, its sensors painting the world below in waves of data. Chief Surveyor Zixtera clicked her mandibles in frustration as she reviewed the readings for the fourth time. "This can't be correct," she muttered, her crystalline eyes reflecting the holographic displays. "Run the planetary analysis again." Her assistant, Junior Surveyor Venko, adjusted his environment suit's atmospheric regulators nervously. "Chief, we've already run it 3 times. The readings are consistent. The planet below them should have been dead. Its massive iron core generated a magnetic field so powerful it distorted their instruments. Worse, that core was molten, not just partially, like some marginally habitable worlds, but a churning sphere of superheated metal that drove massive crustal plates into constant collision. The surface was riddled with active volcanoes, regular earthquakes, and unpredictable weather patterns. Yet their sensors detected something impossible. Radio signals, artificial satellites, cities. There must be some kind of mistake. Zixtera insisted. No spacefaring civilization would choose to settle on a death world like this. The geological instability alone. She was interrupted by a transmission alert. Someone was hailing them. From the surface, the signal resolved into an audio-visual feed, showing a creature Zixtera had never seen before. It was bilateral symmetric, with exposed skin and curious fur patches, wearing what appeared to be some kind of uniform. "Greetings, unidentified vessel. This is Earth Central Command. I'm Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We've noticed you've been in orbit for several hours. Care to introduce yourselves?" Zixtera's translator took a moment to process the language. But what shocked her more was the casual tone. This being was speaking from the surface of a geological nightmare, as if it were the most natural thing in the universe. I am Chief Surveyor Zixtera of the Galactic Survey Corps. We're conducting a standard planetary survey of this sector." She paused, mandibles twitching. "Are you native to this world?" The creature, Admiral Chen, smiled, showing flat teeth. "Born and raised here, like most of humanity. Though I spend more time up in space these days. Would you like to come down and see for yourself? We can have a landing pad ready at our Singapore facility in about an hour." "Come down." Venko's environmental suit whirred as his stress levels spiked. "To the surface?" "Of course," Chen replied. "The weather's quite nice today. Only a small chance of rain, and the Ring of Fire has been quiet this week." Terra's scientific curiosity warred with her survival instincts. The standard protocol for death worlds was clear. Mark them as uninhabitable and move on. But this was unprecedented. "Your world's core," she began carefully. "It's unstable. The tectonic activity alone should make permanent settlement impossible. How do you survive?" Chen's expression shifted to something the translator couldn't quite parse. "Unstable? Oh, you mean the plate tectonics and volcanic activity. That's just Earth being Earth. We've built our civilization around it. Those forces you're worried about. They're what made life possible here in the first place." The next hour was a blur of preparation and debate. Standard protocols said they should refuse the invitation. Common sense said they should flee this death trap of a planet. But the data couldn't be ignored. Somehow, an entire civilization had not only survived, but thrived on a world that violated every principle of planetary habitability. As their shuttle descended through the atmosphere, Zixtera watched the surface features come into focus. The city below was a marvel of engineering, with structures that seemed designed to flex and move with the Earth itself. In the distance, she could see massive geothermal power plants harnessing the very forces she had assumed made the planet uninhabitable. "Welcome to Earth," Chen said as they touched down. "I think we have a lot to teach each other about what makes a planet habitable." Looking at the bustling spaceport, with humans going about their daily lives on top of what was essentially a massive fusion reactor covered by a thin rocky crust, Zexterra realized that the Galactic Survey Corps was going to need to rewrite their planetary classification system. The impossible planet wasn't just habitable. It was home to a species that had evolved to see geological instability not as a threat, but as an opportunity. And something told her this wouldn't be the last time humanity would force the galaxy to reconsider its assumptions. Walking on fire. The observation deck of Singapore's Geothermal Research Institute offered a panoramic view of the city-state's famous thermal gardens. Chief Surveyor Zexterra watched in fascination as steam vents released controlled bursts into carefully maintained atmospheric regulators, powering everything from climate control to industrial processes. Your entire civilization is built on managing geological forces, she asked, her translator struggling to convey her mix of horror and awe. Admiral Chen nodded, gesturing to the massive holographic display showing Earth's internal structure. We didn't have much choice. Earth's core has been active since our planet's formation. Life here evolved alongside earthquakes, volcanoes, and shifting continents. We learned to adapt. Dr. Sarah Martinez, the Institute's lead researcher, stepped forward. Her dark eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as she manipulated the hologram. What you see as instability, we see as energy, power, life itself. Earth's magnetic field, generated by our liquid core, protects us from harmful radiation. Plate tectonics recycles minerals and maintains our atmosphere. Volcanic activity enriches our soil. Venko, who had finally stopped checking his environment suit's readings every few minutes, moved closer to the display. But the risks, the unpredictability. Oh, we can predict quite a lot actually, Martinez smiled. She expanded a section of the hologram showing a network of sensors that wrapped around the planet like a nervous system. The global seismic network monitors every tremor, every shift in magma flow. We've learned to read Earth's pulse. The display shifted to show a city under construction. Buildings rose from their foundations on sophisticated dampening systems that moved with the Earth rather than fighting against it. Roads and infrastructure incorporated flexible joints and self-repairing materials. Most of our major cities are built with geological activity in mind, Chen explained. When the ground moves, we move with it. Our buildings dance. Zexterra's crystalline eyes reflected the changing images. Your species evolved alongside these forces, but surely there were losses along the way. A shadow crossed Chen's face. Many. Each disaster taught us something new. Every earthquake, every volcanic eruption. They became our teachers. We developed early warning systems, evacuation protocols, emergency response teams that could deploy anywhere on Earth within hours. The hologram shifted again, showing historical footage of human rescue workers rushing into areas that any sane species would flee. They dove into collapsed buildings, worked in the shadow of active volcanoes, and built temporary cities for displaced populations with practiced efficiency. What you call geological instability forced us to become adaptable, resilient, Martinez continued. We learned to build structures that bend instead of break, to harness the planet's heat for power, to turn volcanic ash into fertile farmland. Our civilization doesn't just survive here. We thrive because of these conditions, not despite them. A tremor rippled through the building. Minor, barely noticeable to the humans. But Venko's environment suit whirred in alarm as its stabilizers engaged. That was about a 3.2, Martinez noted casually, checking her wrist display. Part of a normal sequence we've been monitoring. The energy will be captured by the city's geothermal network and converted to power. Nothing is wasted. Zexterra moved closer to the window, watching the city continue its normal operations without pause. Your children, they grow up understanding all of this. Chen laughed. Earth science is a fundamental part of our education. Every child learns about plate tectonics, volcanic processes, the rock cycle. They do earthquake drills alongside fire drills. It's as natural to us as teaching them to swim. Swimming. Venko's translator squeaked. in your volatile water oceans. That's a whole other discussion, Martinez grinned. But yes, humans have always pushed the boundaries of what's considered survivable. We're curious by nature. Where others see danger, we see challenge. Opportunity. The hologram shifted one final time, showing Earth's position in the galaxy. Thousands of worlds previously classified as uninhabitable due to geological activity glowed with new possibility. We're not just adapting anymore, Chen said quietly. We're expanding. There are other worlds out there like Earth, worlds your people have written off as death traps. We see them differently. We see homes waiting to be built, energy waiting to be harnessed, new challenges to overcome. Textura's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Your species could revolutionize how we approach planetary colonization. That's what we're hoping for. Martinez nodded. But first, we need to help you understand that what you call instability is just another form of energy. And humans, we're very, very good at working with energy. As if to emphasize her point, another tremor rolled through the building. This time, Venko didn't even flinch. He was too busy watching the power meters spike as the city transformed the Earth's movement into usable energy, wondering how many other impossible things humans would prove possible. The impossible planet had more lessons to teach, and its people were eager to share them with the galaxy. The power within. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos as the human delegation completed their presentation. Representatives from 200 species argued in dozens of languages, while the holographic display continued showing Earth's revolutionary geothermal technology in action. Order. We will have order. First speaker Kovacs's crystalline voice cut through the din. The elderly Meridian's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with stress colors. Ambassador Reynolds, you're suggesting that not only can these death worlds be colonized, but that they represent an untapped energy source. Sarah Martinez, now serving as Earth's chief scientific advisor, stepped forward. 6 months had passed since her first meeting with the Survey Corps, and she'd lost count of how many times she'd explained these concepts to shocked alien audiences. Exactly. First speaker. What we call geothermal energy isn't just about power generation. It's about working in harmony with a planet's natural forces. Earth's core isn't just a hazard to be survived. It's the engine that drives our world's vital systems. The Drolthan representative, a being of living crystal, raised a faceted appendage. But the risks, the sheer amount of energy involved, is precisely why it's so valuable, Reynolds interrupted smoothly. Humanity has spent millennia learning to harness these forces. We're not just offering theory. We're offering practical solutions, tested technology, and centuries of experience. The hologram shifted to show the latest breakthrough. The Haddle Deep installation on Earth's Pacific seafloor. Massive structures tap directly into the planet's mantle, channeling heat through revolutionary conversion systems that made previous geothermal plants look primitive. With your permission, Martinez continued, we propose a joint venture. There's a planet in the Cygnus sector that your surveys marked as uninhabitable due to geological activity. We believe it could become not just habitable, but a major power source for nearby systems. The chamber erupted again, but this time with more curiosity than outrage. Kovacs's patterns shifted to considering blue. You would share this technology. With appropriate safety protocols and training, yes, Reynolds smiled. Earth is willing to provide both technology and experts. We've already assembled a team of geologists, engineers, and planetary adaptation specialists. A quiet voice spoke from the shadows. And what do humans want in return? The chamber fell silent as Arch-Surveyor Nettle emerged from her observation pod. The ancient Zenith had overseen planetary classification for 3 centuries. Her word could make or break the proposal. Martinez met the Arch-Surveyor's compound eyes steadily. Partnership. There are thousands of worlds like Earth out there, each with unique challenges and opportunities. We have the experience to help develop them, but we don't claim exclusive rights. We want to work together, combine our knowledge with your technologies. The hologram changed again, showing a proposed cooperative structure, joint research facilities, training programs, shared resources. Earth would provide its geological expertise, while other species contributed their own specializations. Consider the possibilities, Reynolds added. Whole new categories of worlds opening up for settlement. Clean, sustainable energy sources that could power entire sectors. And most importantly, a chance to turn what we once feared into something that benefits everyone. Natal floated closer to the human delegation. You speak of partnership, but this would fundamentally change how we approach planetary development. Some would say it gives humanity too much influence. Perhaps, Martins acknowledged. But consider this. Every species here has something unique to contribute. The Meridian's crystal-based computing could revolutionize seismic monitoring. Drolthan energy manipulation techniques could improve conversion efficiency. We're not looking to dominate, we're looking to collaborate. The chamber had grown thoughtful. Kovacs's patterns swirled with decision colors. A test project, perhaps. One world, closely monitored. The Cygnus planet. Reynolds nodded. Give us 1 year. Let us show you what's possible when we work with a planet's core instead of fearing it. Nautil's appendages wove complex patterns in the air, the zenith equivalent of deep contemplation. You would need to train other species in your techniques. Share your understanding of these forces. We've already started developing training programs, Martins said. The Singapore Institute has been modified to accommodate various species' environmental needs. We're ready to begin as soon as the Council approves. The Chamber's mood had shifted. Where there had been skepticism, now there was cautious excitement. Species that had long avoided unstable worlds were beginning to see new possibilities. Very well, Kovacs announced. We will put it to a vote. But first, I believe many of us would benefit from seeing these techniques in action. Ambassador Reynolds, would Earth be willing to host a delegation of observers? Reynolds and Martinez exchanged glances. This was exactly what they'd hoped for, a chance to show rather than just tell. We would be honored, Reynolds replied. Though I should warn you, once you see what's possible, you may never look at planetary cores the same way again. As the chamber filled with murmurs of agreement, Martinez couldn't help but smile. Humanity was about to help the galaxy reimagine what was possible, one supposedly dead world at a time. The power within Earth's core had shaped human civilization. Now it would help shape the future of interstellar development. Crisis point. The emergency alert pierced through subspace at 3:47 Earth Standard Time. Nova Proxima, the first joint human-alien colony on a geologically active world, was experiencing unprecedented tectonic activity. Captain Maya Patel of the Earth Emergency Response Vessel Tectonic watched the incoming data with growing concern. The planet's already active fault systems were showing signs of a major shift, one that threatened to tear apart the fledgling colony's infrastructure. Status report, she barked, her bridge crew already moving with practiced efficiency. Multiple fault lines activating simultaneously, her geology officer, Dr. James Chen, reported. Pattern suggests a potential crustal realignment. The colony's standard dampeners won't handle this level of activity. The tectonic dropped out of FTL on the edge of Nova Proxima's system, alongside vessels from 3 other species. The Meridian crystalline ships sparkled in the binary star's light, while the massive Drolthan energy collectors loomed like artificial moons. Colony control. This is Captain Patel of the EER Tectonic. We're reading critical seismic activity. What's your situation? The response came through garbled with interference. Captain, thank the stars you're here. We've got 15,000 colonists, mixed species. Our human-designed dampeners are failing, and the Meridian crystal matrices are showing stress fractures. We got maybe 6 hours before. The transmission cut off as another tremor hit. On the main screen, Nova Proxima's surface showed angry red patterns of spreading tectonic stress. This is exactly what they feared, First Officer Rodriguez muttered. A death world living up to its name. Patel's expression hardened. No, This is exactly what we trained for. Deploy the deep scanners. I want a complete model of those fault systems in 10 minutes, and get me a direct line to Sarah Martinez at Earth Control. The next hours were a blur of activity. The Tectonics crew worked alongside their alien counterparts, each species contributing their unique expertise to a problem that would have been insurmountable alone. Meridian crystal techs modified their matrices to reinforce failing structures. Drolthan energy manipulators helped redirect the worst of the seismic forces, and at the heart of it all, human experience with geological disasters proved invaluable. The problem isn't the activity itself, Martinez's hologram explained to the assembled emergency response team. It's that the colony's built against the planet's natural flow. We need to work with the forces, not against them. Redirect rather than resist, Patel nodded. Like during the Jakarta realignment of 45. The solution came together piece by piece. Human-designed flexible foundations merged with Meridian crystal technology. Drolthan energy collectors transformed seismic forces into usable power. The colony's structures began to move with the planet's shifts rather than fighting them. Look at these readings, Dr. Chen said excitedly. The planet's not trying to tear itself apart. It's establishing a new equilibrium. If we can ride out this adjustment period, we can do better than ride it out, Patel replied. Rodriguez, get me a line to all ships. I have an idea. The next phase of the operation would have seemed insane to most species, deliberately triggering controlled seismic events to guide the planet's natural processes. It was a technique developed on Earth centuries ago, but never attempted on this scale. This is either brilliant or suicidal, the Meridian commander observed. That's humanity in a nutshell, Rodriguez quipped. For 3 days they worked. The human emergency teams coordinated with alien specialists, applying centuries of Earth experience to an alien world. They moved with the planet's forces, guided them, transformed what could have been a catastrophe into a controlled transformation. When the dust settled, Nova Proxima hadn't just survived, it had been transformed. The colony's new adaptive foundations worked in harmony with the planet's geological forces. Power production had actually increased, thanks to the improved integration of seismic energy collection systems. I can't believe it, the colony's governor, a Drolthan engineer, admitted. You didn't just save the colony, you made it stronger. Patel stood at the observation window of the colony's main dome, watching the sunset over a landscape that bore the marks of recent upheaval. That's the thing about living on an active world, she said. You learn that change isn't always destruction. Sometimes it's an opportunity for growth. The crisis had proved something vital. Humanity's experience with death worlds wasn't just about survival. It was about understanding that planetary forces, no matter how violent they seemed, could be worked with rather than against. As the Tectonic prepared to depart, Patel received a message from the Galactic Council. The success at Nova Proxima had convinced even the most skeptical members. The Joint Development Program for geologically active worlds would proceed at full scale. Tell Earth Control we'll need more ships, she told Rodriguez, and more crews trained in geological crisis response. Something tells me we're going to be very busy. The stars beckoned, and among them were thousands of worlds once deemed too dangerous to inhabit. Humanity was ready to help transform them from death worlds into new homes, one geological challenge at a time. New horizons. 5 years after the Nova Proxima incident, the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber looked very different. Where once there had been rigid separation between species, now representatives clustered in mixed groups, discussing planetary development projects and sharing expertise. At the center of the chamber, a massive holographic display showed dozens of worlds once classified as uninhabitable, now thriving colonies and energy production centers. Each point of light represented a successful adaptation of what the galaxy had once feared. Sarah Martinez, now serving as Earth's senior ambassador for planetary development, stood before the council to deliver her annual report. Behind her, Admiral Chen and Captain Patel flanked a delegation that included representatives from 15 different species, all graduates of Earth's Geological Adaptation Training Program. When we first proposed working with geologically active worlds, Martinez began, many thought we were mad. Today, I'm pleased to report that the Planetary Reconstruction Initiative has successfully established colonies on 37 previously uninhabitable worlds. Power production from these colonies now supplies energy to over 200 systems. The Chamber's mood was celebratory. Even Arch Surveyor Nuttall's typically reserved demeanor showed signs of satisfaction. But perhaps more significant than the numbers, Martinez continued, is how this initiative has transformed our understanding of what makes a world habitable. Each species brings unique insights to these challenges. The Meridian's crystal technologies have revolutionized our seismic monitoring systems. Drolthan energy manipulation techniques have improved our geothermal efficiency by 300%. The hologram shifted to show the latest breakthrough. A zenith colony surviving on a world with even more intense geological activity than Earth. The structures there combined human adaptive engineering with technologies from a dozen different species. We've moved beyond merely surviving on these worlds, Admiral Chen added. We're learning to truly live with them. Each planet presents unique challenges, and each challenge leads to new innovations. First speaker Kovacs's patterns glowed with approval gold. The success of this program has exceeded all expectations, but there have been concerns about its rapid expansion. Captain Patel stepped forward. After Nova Proxima, she becomes something of a legend in emergency response circles. Growth has been careful and controlled. Every new colony site is thoroughly evaluated. Every development team includes experts from multiple species. We're not just building colonies, we're building understanding. The hologram shifted again, showing the Singapore Institute's latest graduating class. Beings from across the galaxy trained together, learning not just Earth's geological expertise, but each species' unique contributions to planetary adaptation. The next phase of the initiative, Martinez announced, involves establishing regional training centers throughout the galaxy. Earth will no longer be the sole source of geological adaptation expertise. We envision a network of facilities, each combining local knowledge with shared experience. A Drolthan representative raised a crystalline appendage, and the energy production potential, expanding beyond our initial projections, Chen replied. These worlds aren't just colonies, they're becoming major power sources for entire sectors. The energy crisis that threatens several rim systems has been completely averted. Natal floated forward. When humanity first joined the galactic community, many feared your species' tendency to challenge established limitations. Now we see that this very trait has opened new possibilities for all. Martinez smiled. We've learned as much as we've taught. Earth's core may have shaped our species' development, but it's the combined knowledge of all our peoples that's truly transforming the galaxy. The chamber erupted in approving gestures from a dozen species. The hologram expanded one final time, showing not just the currently developed worlds, but thousands more waiting to be transformed. 5 years ago, Patel concluded, these were called death worlds. Today, we call them opportunities. Tomorrow, they'll simply be home. As the Council moved to approve the initiative's expansion, Martinez looked out at the changed chamber. The rigid divisions of the past were gone, replaced by a new understanding that transcended species barriers. Humanity's unique perspective hadn't just changed how the galaxy saw certain worlds, it had changed how species saw each other. Earth's core had taught humanity to adapt, to persist, to transform challenges into opportunities. Now that lesson was spreading across the stars, one world at a time. The fusion reactor that humans walked on had become a beacon of possibility for an entire galaxy. The future wasn't just about surviving on worlds others feared. It was about building something new together, about combining the strengths of every species to turn ancient fears into new frontiers. As Martinez watched the Council disperse into excited discussion groups, she couldn't help but smile. The impossible planet had started a revolution, and the galaxy would never be the same.